arms, I'm called to arms. Please smile as you say goodbye. To the song we must go. Please say a happy cheerio. I'll think of old Blighty, Father Thames, so mighty. The white cliffs of Dover, till this war is over. Call to arms, I'm a call to arms. Lot of marching up and down. Please don't cry, you know that I will never wear a frown. I'll think of Oakenlow and the beach sand soft and yellow. I'll think of the sunset and the place where we first met. Call to arms, I'm called to arms. Please smile as you say goodbye. To Flanders we must go. Please say a happy cheerio. I'll think of Oakenlow, the beach sand soft and yellow. I'll think of the sunset and the place where we first met. Call to arms, I'm called to arms. Please smile as you say goodbye. To the song we must go. Please say a happy cheerio. Please say a happy cheerio. Please say a happy cheerio.
July this year, 2017, BBC broadcasters, the military and invited members of the public gathered at locations in Flanders, Belgium, to remember the thousands of men who, 100 years ago, gave their all in the Mud of Passchendaele. This call to arms broadcast looks at some images of these battlefields and then offers a biblical viewpoint that we may consider now, and those who follow us in the years to come may consider in their own lives. Due to the nature of the soil in this part of Flanders, there were no trenches across this landscape around Ypres and Passchendaele, but there were large holes in the ground made by German shells. According to reports, at the start of this battle, this part of Flanders received the highest rainfall for 30 years. As a consequence, these craters became large areas of liquid mud. In order for the Allied army troops to walk over the giant dents in the ground, narrow boards called duckboards were laid across these shell craters, as seen in this photograph. But as a consequence of these weather conditions, these boards would have become slippery, made worse by soldiers walking along them with muddy boots. So Passchendaele has become a byword for slippery, slimy, deep mud. This sets the scene. Matthew 17, verse 14. The way to life is narrow and hard. How many Tommies slipped off the muddy duckboards into the mud which was so soft it became liquid and they drowned. How many of us have slipped off this narrow path to life into the mud of sin and drown in spiritual death? Romans 3 verse 23. All have sinned by slipping off this narrow path to life. Many Tommies knew each other and they became known as pals. How many pals 100 years ago tried to save their friend as they slipped into the mud? How many times did they both fall in as they tried to help each other and consequently drown together? John 15 verse 13. No greater love that a person gives up their life for another. So, from this hell of the Mud of Passchendaele, let's keep close to Jesus Christ in our daily spiritual battles and consider these spiritual analogies. How do we stay close to Jesus Christ? 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 17. Pray constantly. So I hope these brief visits to the muddy battlefields near Ypres and Passchendaele in Flanders, Belgium, have been of interest. Thanks goes to Rev Bennett for finding the connection between the slippery and narrow duckboards and the narrow way to life. Good people, I implore you, you know in your hearts that the spiritual message from the Mud of Passchendaele is valid for all people, for all time. Please feel free to contact Rev Bennett using the email in the credits. I am Keith Stevenson.